Alright, so hey, it's Randy from Covenant Coffee, and we're going to work on a Yama Siphon tutorial for you. This is the Yama Siphon. Here's the top filter. This is also your carafe on the bottom. This is what you'll serve out of. The important thing about these items is you have a base here that this slides into. This is your butane lighter, very self-explanatory. Measuring spoon and stir stick. Always have a lighter on hand in case the butane doesn't catch. Your carafe has a bulb on it that is threaded. Pinch and it can come off. You need to be very careful with this. They're costly to replace and also very easily to break. But this is what you'll serve out of. It'll come very hot. You notice on here is a 5-cup. They're 4-ounce servings, so this would be about 20 ounces. We usually fill our water up a little bit above that to 22 to account for any kind of evaporation. And this is where your coffee is going to go. You're going to have a chain. It's very similar to this metal chain. This will be your actual filter, and that'll drop down in the middle of that carafe very carefully. So those are your parts. This will eventually seat into here in the rubber gasket, and the coffee will heat. That's the process in here. The water will heat, and your ground coffee will be up in this top chamber. It'll then go up the chain through science. Heat rises, the water will come up in here. It'll brew. You'll make sure you stir that a couple times. We'll go through that process, and then after you remove the heat source, it'll begin to siphon back down. So I'm going to ask my friend Anthony to come over and fill this up with hot water to this line here, so he can help us out, and I won't leave the frame. So fill the hot water up to just above the 5 here. Bring that right back. So as Anthony's doing that, we've got a sheet here for you that's going to explain everything. With a little bit of history of the siphon on the back. We'll make sure we give you descriptions on the coffee. The coffee we're using today is a house coffee. I'm not sure you can see that. And your stir spoon you're going to also use, you want to make it just flat. So flat, 5 spoons of this will go inside of the top chamber, and then you're ready to brew. We always start with some hot water. You'll use that from your Dow Egberts machine. So that's here's the hot water. Now while that's going, I'm still talking to you, I'm going to prepare other things. I'm going to start up my butane, and ours is very old, so we use a little lighter primer to get it going. Yours should just fire right up. So as I get this going, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that underneath. My filter, I'm going to be very careful. Everything is very clean. I'm going to drop right down inside of this central hole. Real careful. There's a chain mechanism. I'm going to pull over and latch. I'm going to stick that right down inside of here, and now I'm going to begin to put my coffee. As you can see, this was already hot because of the 5 of the cups of water we put in from the hot chamber. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The beautiful thing about this is if you make it strong, you can always add hot water to it. But if you make it weak, there's really nothing you can do. So make sure you're just using the right brew measurements. And again, this is our house. You want to make sure it's lined up here in the center. Don't start out with this being wet at all because it'll crack. Make sure your bulb is dry. Cleaning this is hot boiling water and dump it out because mostly it's hot water and coffee in it. Cleaning this, very careful, small rag. I'm going to adjust my flame a little bit, pull it down because I'm starting to get some action. I'll use that same spoon. You may get bamboo later on, but now what's beginning to happen is you're getting the chemistry experience of the water going up. This has taken not much time, so if you're starting out with really hot water like this and you've not prepared, or you've prepared the cart kind of quick, then it's going to be very fast. You won't be able to just run off from your table. But if you've got some time and the water's heating, you can go check on another table, do something else. So I'm going to stir a bit here just to make sure the grounds are getting infused. Now it's a little bit like brewing tea or doing something else. I'm adjusting this down a bit because I don't want to just do a boil over at the table. So as I adjust down, I don't want to go too low. And now that all the coffee and water are interacting, I'm going to stir about 6 times and make sure that it gets nice and infused. And you're starting to get some great aromas. Again, you set this back on the cart. You're not walking away at this time. You're right at table side. They may be asking you questions about our house coffee. They may be asking you questions about the coffee of the day. Just make sure that you're staying back and watching your heat. Now you don't want this to cool quick, because then it's just going to drop. We're looking for about 1.5 to 2 minutes of this brewing, meaning the coffee's interacting and we're getting some great oils off of our coffee. Another stir. And as we get to that, you're releasing a lot more aromas now. And we're just about ready to pull heat off. You want to make sure you also have your cups full of hot water, or you've heated those cups, preheated them. We don't want to pull this off and then shock the coffee by putting it into a cold cup. So make sure you're following all your coffee processes right. So as I begin to turn this heat down now, you're going to see the siphon process. Remember, this is boiling water, so it's not going to be drinkable right away, and as coffee cools, it's actually going to open up a little bit more flavors. So now you'll see a little bit of the process. You can always give this a little bit of a stir here, get things rolling, and there you go. Now the siphon process is happening. You're going to pretty soon see a full release into the lower carafe, from which you'll be able to serve. This can all be done table side. Of course, move these things away, carry a rag with you, and be prepared to clean up any little boilovers or messes. You're going to get 4-ounce servings out of this, 5, or you're going to get 4 or 5-ounce servings, whatever. It's great to share with a dessert. You'll also be able to pair this with your desserts, and we'll talk more about that. And always you can add hot water if needed to lighten up the load on the coffee if it's overbearing for anyone. So make sure you have creamers, sugars, and all those things on hand, and just when you come out to do your presentation, that it's ready to rock and roll and really impress that guest. And you're going to turn a lot of heads. This is a great coffee presentation. And the back side of this details all of that, the history of the brewer, vacuum brewers, siphon brewers in the United States, where they came from. The bubbles are just releasing gases. The extreme freshness of the coffee we're roasting for you here at Covenant is you're gonna see that action. And so this is gonna be a great way to enjoy that cup of coffee as they finish off dinner. Let it completely release. It's gonna fill up again to near the 20 mark, and then you'll pull this out just by gently wiggling it, remembering that this is hot as well, so keep your hands away from that. Very carefully placing it in here, even with the screen in, because you don't want to take that screen out by grabbing the chain. You'll get coffee everywhere. So as this begins to fill, you'll see now we're at the 5-cup mark, which is 20 fluid ounces, European cup sizes. So as you begin to wiggle this back and forth, you may get another little bubble and release of coffee. Just gentle, and you'll get the hang of it as time goes by. Let that off the chain, and then just drop that right into what is also the lid, and recommend that they let this sit for a minute before they enjoy it, as it's very, very hot, and you move on from there. Just looking for a cup to enjoy this, but I'll wait for a little bit. So that is the Yama siphon process. If you need anything, give us a call at Covenant, and just really enjoy this, have fun with it. Be careful with the glass, be careful with the heat. Watch your table. You'll get this down to a science, how much time you have in between all the different stages. But remember, the first stage is simply hot water here, 5 scoops of coffee here, the chain inside the filter, putting that in, heating it up, stirring a couple times during the brew process, about a 1.5-minute brew cycle, and then taking the heat away and letting all that coffee come down. Very pure cup of coffee here in this. Thanks so much. We'll see you.